recent years, music has become the most important art form in Iceland, and apart from the classical musicians and singers, we have very many well-known pop musicians like Birna, who the whole world has fallen in love with.
My calling was folk music. I've been a folk artist, and that is what I'm still doing. I started by being an apprentice of the late Dr. Albert Sempeke.
Welcome to This Week. Our speaker is Steinunn Birna from the Opera House in Iceland.
Dear friends and colleagues far away, my name is Steinunn and I'm the CEO and Artistic Director of the Icelandic Opera. My name means someone who loves stones, and I wear that name proudly as it was my grandmother's, and she was the most loving and resilient person I have known. I was only 7 years old when I found my mojo, so to speak, and knew I wanted to become a musician. I was listening to the radio with my father in the garage and heard a piano sonata for the first time and knew what I wanted to do when I grew up. I've spent most of my professional life as a concert pianist, until I started the Reykholt Music Festival in a rural area in Iceland that has its 25th anniversary this year. In 2010, I became the artistic director of Harpa, and a few years later, the CEO and director of the Icelandic Opera. It gives me joy every single day to see young musicians start their careers in music and performing arts, and to be able to give them their first opportunities to share their talents with the audiences. Nothing can compare with that. Iceland is called the land of fire and ice for a good reason, since we have active volcanoes as well as quite a few glaciers and more than enough of snow in the winter. Being located in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, close to the Arctic Circle, means that we will never be too warm here in Iceland, but never too cold either, since we have the Gulf Stream to keep us warm, not to mention all the volcanoes like the one that's erupting right now since March, and possibly will be going on for years. The Vikings came from Norway some 1,000 years ago, and some say they were looking for America, but lost their way and found Iceland instead. Lucky guys. We are only 370,000 people in the whole country, which means we are pretty much one big family. And our most important cultural heritage is the sagas that were written on calfskin very long time ago, but we can still read them since the language has not changed that much. In recent years, music has become the most important art form in Iceland, and apart from the classical musicians and singers, we have very many well-known pop musicians like Birna, who the whole world has fallen in love with. I would say that there are more artists and musicians in Iceland per capita than probably any other country I know of, and I think it's probably because we are encouraged to be creative from very early age. And since we don't have a lot of warmth and sun and good weather like you do, we have to find something fun to do inside. And what better than music, arts and storytelling? So how did Harpa come about? It was a dream for a whole century, and it has opened up a whole new dimension in our cultural life that we've never known before. It is the home of all the leading music events and festivals in the country. In this photo, taken in 1923, you see the very first concert hall built in Iceland, so you can see for yourselves what an incredible difference it has been for us in just the last century. We have a relatively short history of the performing arts, but they are becoming more and more important in our cultural life as time passes on. In 2008, we had a bank crash in Iceland that was a huge shock to everyone in the country. Harpa was half built at the time, and there was a real talk of tearing it down, since it would cost too much money. But fortunately, the brave decision to finish the building was made by the cultural minister at the time, Ragnarsdóttir, who is now our Prime Minister. And needless to say, the whole nation is very grateful to her for that, since the time after the bank crash, we needed culture the most. Like I mentioned, Harpa has brought us a new dimension in every way as a world-class cultural center and has attracted many cultural tourists that would not have chosen Iceland as their destination if it wasn't for the concert hall. Of course, the volcano is a big attraction as well, but as you can see in this photo, the difference between the old and the new venue is enormous, and it is impossible to fully describe the impact it has had on our cultural life and performing arts. So now let's take a quick peek into the halls of Harpa, our cultural bridge to the world. It is fair to say that our national instrument is the voice. My theory is that since the Vikings cut down all the trees and didn't plant them back, we didn't have any wood to make instruments from, so everyone sang. There's more than 360 choirs in the country, and every time a group of friends or family gets together to celebrate, it is very likely that there will be singing involved. The relationship between the venue and the Icelandic nation has grown from being complicated into a love affair that hopefully will last for a very long time. After the crash, people were losing their jobs and properties, so it was very understandable that they were skeptical about this magnificent hall being built when the country was going through such hard times economically. Now it has become a monument of victory after we have revived our economy, and now people cannot think of Iceland without it. So now let me pass on the word to my colleague, who will take you on a little artistic adventure inside Harpa. See you when you get back.
Welcome to Iceland, everyone, and welcome to Harpa, the flagship of cultural life in the capital city, Reykjavik. This magnificent concert hall was our dream for over a century until it finally opened in 2011. The first ever purpose-built concert hall in Iceland. And what an inspiring venue it is. But for musical life in Iceland, this really is the promised land. Home to the Iceland Symphony Orchestra and the Icelandic Opera, as well as to some of our most important festivals, such as the Reykjavik Arts Festival and Iceland Airwaves. We really can't wait to share Harpa with you in person. And can you hear that? That's the opera chorus rehearsing one floor up. Let's go up and have a listen. thank you so much. Absolutely beautiful singing. This song, Heyr himnasmiður, was actually voted Iceland's favorite piece of classical music a few years back, and for a good reason. The lyrics are from the 13th century, but the music is by one of Iceland's greatest 20th century composers, Þorkell Sigurbjörnsson. So it really ties together the old and the new in our culture. And the acoustics out here in the open space are just gorgeous, perfect for choral singing. Next up, I'm going to take you to the main conference hall. It's called Norðurljós, named after the Northern Lights. You're about to see some contemporary dance, a segment from a new work by Icelandic choreographer Inga Maren Ragnarsdóttir. The work is called Ævi, and she dances it herself. The music is by Ólafur Arnalds.
The new venue has been our new bridge to the world in very many ways. Now we can enjoy the best events performed by globally renowned musicians and artists from around the world in our own country that we needed to travel abroad to listen to before. The main opportunities for artists from East Africa would perhaps be to perform in one of our arts festivals, such as Reykjavik Art Festival or Reykjavik Jazz Festival. So I will leave you here with few links to web pages that you could use to get further information or contact a person who would be the curator for each venue or festival. Here they are. So before leaving, I'd like to extend my sincere thanks to my friend and respected colleague Faisal Kawewa for allowing me to send you this personal invitation to the Icelandic Opera. I sincerely hope we will have the pleasure to seeing you here in Iceland at some point in the near future, and wish you all the best in your professional and personal lives. So now I will end by showing you a short video that explains all about why you need Iceland. Velkomin til Íslands. Thank you.
Enough waking up to more bad news. Enough not making new friends or making it to the gym. Enough talking to the walls. Enough with the endless video calls. When was the last time you felt goosebumps? Or had a real date with a person? In person. Enough missing out. It looks like you've had enough. It looks like you need Iceland.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another edition of DOADOA 2021, the virtual docu-series. As you've heard from the speaker, now you are going to get to know the artist. And the artist in focus this week is Joel Sebunjo, the Pan-African. Enjoy.
Compatriots, victorious fighters of Africa. Joel Sebunjo is a Ugandan-born musician, a composer, a cultureman, an artist in general. I would say for sure by the age of 12 I knew I wanted to be a musician. When I joined secondary school, that's when I felt the conviction that art, audio art, music was my calling, because I went to Makerere College, which was a highly artistic school. So from there I got so much involved with the art scene in the school, and then I knew I wanted to be a professional musician.
Voice of freedom.
My musical journey from childhood began at Makerere College. When I joined, I got so much involved with music, and then I was also studying music as a subject. So for all the 6 years I was in high school, I was a music student. It was part of my curricula as I did other subjects. So for the lower secondary, I did music, and for the higher secondary, I did music as a subject. Then I went ahead to do music as a degree in university, pursuing a bachelor's of musicology. Then I've also been informally trained, because my calling was folk music. I've been a folk artist, and that is what I'm still doing. I started by being an apprentice of the late Dr. Albert Sempeke. Albert Sempeke is one of the greatest musicians from Uganda. He was the master of the Ndongo and Ganda music. So he was my mentor. I spent a lot of my childhood learning from him. There was also the late Stephen Busura, who was my teacher in Makerere College. He was one of my biggest mentors in folk music, because he was among the king's musicians as well, alongside another gentleman called Ludovic. Ludovic Serwanga was also one of the pillars of Uganda folk. Then outside Uganda, I went ahead and took informal music education from other masters like Tumani Jabate in Mali, who is one of the greatest kora players. He's still alive. I went to the Gambia, also took music apprenticeship with people like Alaji Mbaye, who is also one of the known kora players from the Mandinka music. So it has been this kind of encounters that have shaped my music, you know. But I'm also admiring musicians, you know. When you listen to, by the age of 13, I was already aware of the music of the greater Africa, you know, people like Oliver Mtukuzi, people like Baba Mal, people like Yusundur, people like Ismailo. I used to follow what they're doing. So that's how I've learned about African music.
Africa, I love you daily. My home, I think about you every day. Africa, I love you daily.
I am motivated by folk life. Folk life is what we live. Because I'm a folk man, I want to talk about the everyday things, about the stories of our society, about the stories of our past, and about the future. For me, it's about today, yesterday, and the future. That is folk life. You know, creating music is mouth first. You know, sometimes you are inspired by the events in your life. Events in your life, probably you have had a child, then the different artists, there is always the same reasons, you know. Probably you're in love with somebody, then you want to make a love song. We have seen artists making music because they're divorced. So, but for me, it's all about the life events. You know, life events. It's like the song called Kabaka Yeka. It was inspired by the Kabaka of Uganda over 8 months ago during lockdown, when the Kabaka first appeared in public and it didn't look so energetic. Then I made that song, but I didn't release it until recently. It's all about the thing. Sometimes you can record a song because it's raining. Because in our culture, the Waganda, we have songs about even rain, songs about the sun, songs about drought, songs about hunting, songs about harvesting. So that is folk life. So music can be about anything. We have songs about baptism, songs about naming children, songs about twins. When somebody has twins, there's music for that. So we compose music according to what's happening in our lives. Yes, I believe in God, but I'll better say I believe in the supernatural realm, because probably God is part of that realm, but the world moves with a lot of forces. And probably God is one of those forces. So I'm a believer I'm a believer of that supernatural forces of the world, and God is one of them, really. When you talk about spirituality and the way to relate to African music, it also connects to our instruments that we play as Africans. I am a master of the ndongo, actually one of the surviving masters of this generation, because I learned from the old generation who have all died. The late Sempeke, the late Ludovic, those were our masters to learn these instruments. So I'm one of the surviving masters of the ndongo, which is the bolaya. But the ndongo is a very special instrument, because there are only also a few people who can make it in this country. Now, not every instrument maker can make the ndongo, and that makes it very spiritual. You know, like in the music of Europe, you can go to a shop and buy a guitar or and buy a piano, but that's not the same for African music. As an African musician, when you need an instrument, you contact a special instrument maker for that to make it for you. and that instrument will be peculiar to you. No one, it will be one prototype. No one else will have the same instrument like you in the world. It will be a different sound. You know, you can have two instruments with two musicians, but those instruments are totally different. They're not the same instruments, even if they look alike. The endongo for Joel Sebunjo is not the endongo for Dr. Sempeke. They're all unique, and for me that is spiritual. You know, when I play my instrument, I have an attachment to it that is spiritual. When somebody gives me another instrument, even if it's the same name, I don't relate, because for me it is natural that it's not my instrument. When I touch it, I feel it does not belong to me, and that is how spiritual African music is. You know, every instrument is unique. Every instrument has a different story. Every instrument has a different wood. Every instrument has a different language it speaks, because it is heart to heart between the instrument and the player, and that is African music for you. And that is all over Africa. And if you go to West Africa, you know, the kora, not everybody makes a kora. There are particular families that make these instruments. When you go to South Africa, the mbira, the particular families which construct these mbiras. And I think that's the, even if it is drums, the djembe or the ngoma, the particular makers of these instruments. It's not like anybody will wake up and start carving wood to make a drum. No, there are special families that make this, and that is spiritual.
Without even realizing it, because you can't hate the roots of a tree and not hate the tree. You can't hate your origin and not end up hating yourself. You can't hate Africa and not hate yourself.
Africa, I love you daily. My home, I think about you.
For a long time I've had lots of dreams for collaboration, and I'm still dreaming to collaborate, but I know a lot of people that I want to work with, but probably it's not yet the time, and maybe I don't have the resources to make it happen, but we are in proximity by faith and by spirit. For a long time I wanted to work with Mr. Moses Matov of the legendary Frigo from Uganda, and I thank God I've done that. You know, that is very good. I wanted to collaborate with Samite of Uganda, who is based in New York. He's a Ugandan, one of our legends. I did that. I wanted to collaborate with Sami Kasule from Uganda. Unfortunately, he passed away a few days ago, and that didn't come to fruit. I want to collaborate with Alex Mukulu from Uganda. I love his music, and I know, God willing, that will happen. I want to collaborate with Youssou from Uganda, from Senegal. I've been on stage with Youssou in different festivals. Even this year I'm going to be on stage with him, but I want to get that chance to record, to make a record with him, you know. There are many artists that I really want to work with. People like Baba Mal, I want to record with him. Already we are exchanging, you know, what we want to work on. Eric Wainaina from Kenya, I want to work with him. My sister Susanna Owiyo from Nairobi, we are in talks. She's one of the people I really wanted to work with for a long time. We almost did it, but then she lost the dad, then we had to. So there are many, I'm so much in love with a lot of African sounds, and I want to work with a lot of African musicians as well. One of the stages I really dream to be on is the WOMAD Festival, founded by Peter Gabriel, one of the legends of world music. I've never been to WOMAD, but I dream I will be there sometime, because WOMAD is really a big opportunity. But I've been on other big stages, like I've been to Sauti za Busara, one of our biggest stages in Africa, several times. I've been a very frequent, how do you call it? I've been a headliner there probably 4 times. I've been in the VFM in Morocco 2 times as headliner. I've played in many venues operated by the French Institute Network around Africa. Probably I've been to over 35 countries in Africa playing in those venues. I've done the one of the biggest venues in Austria, which is the Pogian Bass. You know, I've done that once. I've done lots of places. You know, sometimes I forget, but I've been in many places spreading the news about African folk and about Ugandan folk. And we're still on the drive, because every year there are new venues coming up, there are new programmers coming up, there are new festivals coming up, and we keep our eyes open, really. Today the way to go is digital. The first step is all my music that I've released is on all digital platforms. It's on Tidal, it is on Amazon Music, it is on Spotify, it is on iTunes. So digital, you'll find my music. And I have some albums available in stores around the world through distributors. So probably I have a big distribution in North America and the Benelux region of Europe, like Belgium, Luxembourg, a bit of Germany. So I have circulation there. So you can find some of my CDs in those leading stores of some of my past projects. I Speak Luganda is available in most of those stores, North America, USA, Canada, and parts of Europe. Heart of a Griot, which came out in 2010, is available in a lot of major world music stores. So you can find that. It's only United Slaves of Africa, which came out in 2019, that is available only through digital distribution. And also my new EP is going to be only digital distribution. So you just go on your phone and download that music and stream it and share it and get publishers to buy it. If you're making movies, yeah, we have good soundtracks. If you're making documentaries, you can use it as a soundtrack and pay us some money.
Ekituli ky'omukwano jangu kisibe akatiba kalaavu kiro namisana nganoonya gwe weka.
Thank you so much for joining this week's show, DOADOA 2021. I hope you had some fun and got some inspiration. If you have any comment, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave your comment, or our Facebook page, Twitter, or Instagram. We'll definitely get back to you. We are very grateful, and until next week, I remain your host, Faizo Kiwewa from Bayimba and the DOADOA team. Keep it DOADOA 2021.
They projected the image of Africa negatively. They projected Africa always in a negative light. Jungles, savages, cannibals, nothing civilized. And naturally it was so negative until it was negative to you and me. And you and I began to hate it. We didn't want anybody to tell us anything about Africa, and much less call us an African. And in hating Africa and hating the African, we ended up even hating ourselves without even realizing it. Because you can't hate the roots of a tree and not hate the tree. You can't hate your origin and not end up hating yourself. You can't hate Africa and not hate yourself.
Africa, I love you daily. My home, I think about you every day. Africa, I love you daily. My home, I think about you every day. You're so beautiful, Mama land. Fertile, glorious, sweet Africa. Flora and fauna is delicate. Oil and gold is tempting. Flora and fauna is delicate. The oil and gold is tempting. my glorious sweet Africa. Flora and fauna is delicate, oil and gold is tempting. Flora and fauna is delicate, the oil and gold is tempting.
Rise up, Africa.
I love you,
Viva Africa.
we love you,
Rise up, Africa.
I love you,
Viva Africa.
we love you. Arusha, Tanzania, Kigali, Goma. Welcome to Africa, shining bright like a diamond, standing up your pyramid, shining bright like a diamond, standing up your pyramid. The sun is always out, the Nile flows so deep. There is no place like Africa. I am born in Africa.
Rise up, Africa.
I love you,
Viva Africa.
we love you,
Rise up, Africa.
I love you,
Viva Africa.
we love you,
Rise up, Africa.
I love you,
Viva Africa.
we love you,
Rise up, Africa.
I love you,
Viva
compatriots, victorious fighters of Africa, compatriots, victorious fighters of Africa. You shed your blood for me. You slept in jail for me. You shed your blood for me. All in the struggle for liberty. Torture day and night. Just because you're black, we can't forget the past. All the souls we lost, we can't deny the fate. Africa will think again. Remember Thomas Sankara. Remember Samora Machel. Remember Stephen Biko. Remember Patrice Lumumba. Remember Thomas Sankara. Remember Samora Machel. Remember Stephen Biko. Remember Patrice Lumumba.
Maji, voice of freedom,
Kanu Tanu Frelimo,
the movement of the people, the root of Pan-Africans.
People must unite.
Ruma was in prayer.
We can't forget the past. We can't deny the fate. Remember Thomas Sankara. Remember Samora Machel. Remember Stephen Biko. Remember Patrice Lumumba. Remember Thomas Sankara. Remember Samora Machel. Remember Stephen Biko. Remember Patrice Lumumba. Calling, yes, my brothers, it's the sound of victory. Senegal, Gambia, Senghor is champion. Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, Félix our father. Soweto, 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 Mandela. Soweto, 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 the land of the brave. Remember Thomas Sankara. Remember Samora Machel. Remember Stephen Biko. Remember Patrice Lumumba. Remember Thomas Sankara. Remember Samora Machel. Remember Stephen Biko. Remember Patrice Lumumba. Ekituli ky'omukwano jangu okisibe akatiba kalavu yegwa kalina sentambula amawanga gona nga noonya gwe kiro na misana nga noonya gwe weka.
In recent years, music has become the most important art form in Iceland, and apart from the classical musicians and singers, we have very many well-known pop musicians like Björk, who the whole world has fallen in love with.
My calling was folk music. I've been a folk artist, and that is what I'm still doing. I started by being an apprentice of the late Dr. Albert Sempeke.